Good morning. I'm Amy Franceschini, and today we are Futurefarmers. We're a body of four. Lotte Vranke over there, Marta Lundberg, and Marta van Dessel, who will be joining us shortly. I just want to thank Artes Mundi for this long journey that we've been on together for over a year and a half. It's been so amazing to work with you. And I also want to thank Thomas, who we're living in your house right now, so thank you for having us in Cardiff. So we're Futurefarmers. If you could turn down the lights a little bit, I'm going to just do some screen-based things. Thanks. We're Futurefarmers. We're based in San Francisco. We're a collective of many different types of actors, artists, scientists, farmers, bakers, architects. We're a constellation of people, places, and projects. We gather together as distinct bodies of collaborators depending on the situation. We deconstruct systems as a way to look at their intrinsic logics and form. Through disassembly, new narratives emerge. We reconfigure and liberate from the principles that once dominated these systems. Here we transform a toilet into a set of bricks, and then into a set of bricks and a set of books. These are tools for you to reconfigure. We use situational intelligence as our guide. This is a Steiner principle whereby if you give children an assignment to move a large stump up or down a set of stairs, they will find a way with materials around them. We've been invited to cities to imagine green futures. In Philadelphia, we often start with drawings as a way to imagine. We breathe life into abandoned buildings. Soil Kitchen hosted a soil testing lab, a soup kitchen, and workshops for 10 days with Philadelphia citizens to reimagine their future of their city. A post-industrial wasteland, we served soup made from vegetables that were grown on a former toxic landscape that had been transitioned into a productive landscape. We worked with scientists to test people's soil from the neighborhood. 350 samples were tested and nurtured so people could touch their soil and understand the nutrition within it. Soup was served, people gathered. Soil Kitchen took a life of its own. Assemblies formed and demands were made to the mayor of Philadelphia. People made their own workshops for days on. We have moved a human-powered horse through the rural landscape of Italy. This is not a Trojan horse. Through several villages, upon invitation and sometimes by surprise, we formed this horse using local materials. This horse holds the public imaginary of a time when wild horses roamed this area. This horse gave voice. In this landscape, urbanization brings fences and big boxes, but this horse gives us a place to talk about this. People invite us to their places. Farmers, small villages celebrating their annual harvest. This is not a Trojan horse. This horse amplifies the possible. We have mobilized city offices to demonstrate the possible. We draw upon historical precedent. And we activate politicians to be present in their policies, to actually get dirt under their nails. And we've set up frameworks of inclusion to have people from all different parts of the city take part in these decisions. And we distill our actions into policy which liberates public funds into the hands of the many rather than the hands of a few. So that's a little background on Futurefarmers, but today we wanted to go on a journey with you to the next part of our lives as Futurefarmers. So you were all given a card like this. Does everyone have a card? Okay, so we're going to go on a journey. You've all arrived. We're on the boat. This is our vessel for the next 15 minutes, or maybe eternity. But we have a few things we need. Is anyone in this audience a sailor? I feel like you could captain a boat. Could you come forward? Can you guys go to the side? What's your name? Jennifer. Jennifer is our captain. Could you please have a seat? Does anyone here know how to tie nautical knots? All right, could you come up and you come up? Anyone else feel confident in a life-saving knot tying skill set? All right, what's your name? What's your name? Catherine. Rick. Hey, Rick. Okay, if you could join us here. The next thing we need is a magician. Do we have anyone that knows a magic trick? No magicians. All right, perfect. Come up. We're going to have the magician sit on this side of the boat. Remember, when you need the magician's going to be on port side. What's your name? Luke. Okay, Luke, we have a magician. We need 2 archivists. Who wants to be an archivist? Where was the archivist? What's your name? Tessa, could you come join Luke on the port side? We need 1 more archivist. Okay, I'm going to choose someone randomly. 1 archivist, someone who likes to record things, who feels comfortable in the act of recording. Come with us. What's your name? Tammy is our archivist. Okay, so all of us, our crew members, we all, at different times, are going to have to do something in this journey. And so what we'd like you to do is, on one side of this card, write a practical skill that you might have. This might be doing dishes. This might be, I have good night vision. This might be, I'm really good at talking to people when they're seasick. I don't get seasick. So the practical side. The other side is a poetic side. So sometimes in this journey, things go down, and we need someone who could maybe read Don Quixote by heart, the whole version, while we're in a storm. Something poetic on the background, that's a skill. So if you could do that really quickly. We'll give you a minute to do that. Okay, we're going to 30 seconds, and then we're going to ask you to pass your notes to the right. And the lifeguards will gather your cards.
Oh, God.
Where's the magician? Can you do a card trick? This is our collective skill set. I'm really sure that we're going to be able to get through everything together with these skills. What we'd like to do is we're going to activate these skills through a little spoken word. And we're going to ask our archivists to read, alternatively, some of these skills. So we could ask the archivist to be at the helm of our ship here on either side. Okay. And one of you might end first, but what we're going to ask you to do is just read one side. You'll read one, you'll read one, you'll read one, and we'll ask you to stand at either side of the stage.
Talking to people to form a new friendship.
Problem solving, practical solutions.
I can cook healthy vegetarian food.
Being optimistic.
Good at making people uncomfortable when sick. No, comfortable, sorry.
I like the uncomfortable better.
Practical, calm in a crisis.
Tarot cards.
I love to draw.
Filmmaking.
Sheep talking.
Can recite The Daffodil by Wordsworth, sorry, and dance.
Cooking.
Nautical Cartosaurus. Draw. As well.
Navigation.
Washing up and drying.
More cooking.
I can adapt to social situations.
Cleaning.
Can paper a ceiling by myself.
I am a cook.
Take pictures.
Practical. Cycling.
Paint, teach, counseling, photograph, organize, writing.
Telling, in brackets reading, Orcadian Island folklore.
Campaigning skills.
Listening.
I can cook under pressure.
Practical, organizing our schedule.
Poetic.
Cook.
I am a good friend, a shoulder to cry on, and someone in your I can't read it.
Basic cooking skills.
Loyal.
Writing.
I can plan.
I can tell a good story.
Knitting.
Embroidery, sewing.
Sing sea shanties.
Cleaning up.
Building things.
Cook.
Crochet blankets.
Good at keeping conversation going.
Cooking.
Recounting art history, 1300 to present day.
Cooking.
Sing a song.
I have a good eye for color. I can swim. Draw. I run a good bath. Good organizational skills. Tidy.
Thank you. So if you'd like to join us for the journey to the right, if you could turn down the lights a little bit. Thank you. So we're totally ready to go. We have all the skills we need, lots more to discover. But before we leave on the journey, we would like to give you a little bit of history of where we've come from before we embark on this. So our journey, this is Seed Journey, is anchored to a piece of land, which is a public artwork in Oslo, Norway. We are Flatbread Society. We are located on the former King's Farm, which is now sitting as a derelict swath of land within the former container port Bjørvika. We have occupied this land as city farmers, beekeepers, and we have grown into a self-organized community on this common land. We cultivate ancient grains as a symbol of the commons. A special seed that started this project was rescued from an old Finnish sauna. Several of the grains that we're growing have been rescued from strange places in the northern hemisphere. This grain that was rescued from this building, which was a drying house and a sauna that was used up until the early 1900s, were found between two boards in the floor by a curious archaeologist. There were 9 grains that he found, and he was sure that they would grow. So he planted them in a garden next door, and from these 9 grains, 7 grew. A farmer we're working with, Johan Sward, has been cultivating them and gave us some to grow. We cultivate this today. It grows tall and prolific, and 1 seed will give us 1,200 seeds. Johan Sward says, we don't need museums to conserve varieties. What we want is to grow them. In 2015, we invited 50 local farmers to bring their soil to this common land. In a procession to build the foundation of this farm from their farms, we marched through the city with our soil and our tools. We gathered on this common land, and we enacted a seed ceremony, asking each farmer and participant to take 1 handful of a farmer's soil and mix it into a new culture. The soil, this new culture, bared witness to the signing of a land use agreement. We named this land on this day, and we constituted this place as a new cultural institution within the landscape of this waterfront development. Her name is Losetter. Local farmers share their horses so we can turn our soil. And last year we planted grains in the shape of the navigational constellation of the Shepherd. Each star was a grain. We pollinate this project to various neighborhoods in Oslo by our canoe oven. By land and by sea. We broadcast conversations through our common voice, Radio Ramona. A bakehouse is on this land, and it sails through a constellation of ancient grains. She hosts 3 ovens, a greenhouse, a rooftop terrace. She's a gathering space. Within her hole that is shaped after an 1895 rescue vessel, we hold our seeds of time. This summer, we hosted our first annual harvest. On September 17th, in a procession, we carried our grains to the waterfront. These seeds of time and a small rescue vessel. We board our mothership, RS-10 Christiania, Rescue Sailboat number 10. Our mothership's job in the early 1900s was to go out into storms and rescue boats in distress. She's rescued over 1,200 boats and 365 lives. With this procession, and upon entering this ship, we head to Istanbul via Spain and Greece and Palestine. Over the course of 1 year, we share and collect grains with a rotating crew of artists, anthropologists, bakers, and farmers, and a constellation of host institutions. So together, we are at sea, a horizon that is absent of land, waves, wind, and a crew of abled bodies. We sail our vessel. We are a museum event with no fixed location. We're a traveling school with very precious cargo. Our seed-filled mast doubles as an antenna. We demonstrate low-tech craft, or open source, we demonstrate low-tech craft, open source technology, and solutions to global warming, where the maxim is not the domination of nature, but the mastery of non-mastery, as we use wind to fill our sails. The sky is beautiful. The land is beautiful. When will they meet? Asks our onboard ethnographer. He speaks of this journey as a return, a retracing of the ancient history of seed trade by sea, by land, by wind, and by hands, a hand-to-hand network over millennia. Each day we gather around a small recording device. Our crew recalls the day. This is our collective memory. We carry the words of the farmers that we meet. Farmer Johan Sward says, again, we don't need a museum to conserve varieties. What we want is to grow them. We translate these words into smoke signals sent from ovens where we visit, or from our onboard oven. We make flatbread with the grains collected. Our farmer Johan Sward calls flatbread a storage economy. Seed ceremonies are enacted in various locations. We had one here last summer in the National Museum with the Welsh Grain Forum, whereby a grain from a farmer in London was grown and reestablished in the land from a gene bank. It hadn't been in the land for over 70 years. It was a Welsh grain, but it was being grown in London, and he asked us to bring it to the Welsh Grain Forum. So this was an exchange of the grains from London first being grown to the Welsh farmers here to grow in their soil. We catalog each inventory. On this day, we welcome 3 varieties. We place each in its own wooden vessel within our rescue boat, this small boat that lives upon our mother boat. In case we go down, the seeds go on. These are heterogeneous, unstable, and undescribable, as spoken about by the EU Plant Genetic Resources Treaty. This is the criteria that all of our seeds must have on this vessel. Rescue is at the heart of this mission. Her Latin word is to return. We make use of new muscles on this journey. The cinematic effects of the movement by sail begs for a different type of recording, a recording by eye, by mind, and by trust in the bodily unconscious. We struggle to mirror our documentation with the slowness of our vessel, with the patience of the farmers, and the slow march of domestication of these seeds that we carry with us. Distance is a new muscle. When we sail at night, our eyes have to adjust to a new way of seeing. To know where we are is not important, says Captain Johan Peterson. It is more important to know where not to go. In the distance is an array of lights. It produces an illusion of a horizon within this landless vista. But what we see on our radar is not what we see with our eyes. These blinking lights are a farm, a wind farm, but our radar says wind motors. The metaphor of farming disappears. We imagine entering this field of wind motors in a quixotic protest of this disappearing metaphor of farming. So we invite you into this landless horizon to imagine with us and to move forward to Spain, to Greece, to Palestine, and to our final destination in Istanbul, where we will grow these grains in a former bostan. We ask you to remember that we don't need museums to grow varieties or to conserve varieties. What we want to do is grow them. Thank you.